Alexander Writes here with another video. Today is writing vlog number 2. Today we're going to go over the plotting and planning aspect of writing your novel. I will be talking about some helpful links as well as some things that I do that really are helpful. I will have all of this information in the bio if you want to like and subscribe. That way you can stay up to date. I'm recording this on Wednesday, but this will be posted on Friday. Just had some scheduling conflicts, so I wanted to get this out before Friday. But as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so in the previous video, I had talked about the app or the program's Scrivener. And so today I'm going to be mostly working out of that. Scrivener is really cool. It actually allows you to make templates. So you can actually make a template for a specific Scrivener project that you want. I have actually found a template online. I will link the template in my bio, but essentially, or in the description. The template that I found is catered more towards mystery, but what's interesting is it's broken up into several sections, and I'm going to be looking down at my laptop while I do this video, but obviously there's the actual draft, and that's where you're going to be writing in files and putting documents and doing chapters. So I have that going, but today we're going to be talking about the planning and the plotting process. So within this actual template, we have something it's broken into 3 separate categories, and the biggest one that I'll talk about today is the planning category. So within the planning category, I mentioned in the previous video, I tend to be more in the middle. I'm not quite a plotter, not quite a pantser, but I kind of live in the middle. With the mystery genre, it is something that I found helpful to actually plot, and it has also been helpful to actually be a pantser, so I don't really know how the story's going to end up, just kind of let the story unfold in a natural way. So the first category that we have is the planning category. And so the planning category in this template, which I will again put in the description so you can use, it's pretty easy. You can just import it in, and then you can just write over it and then go from there. But I've kind of modeled it to be kind of more towards my needs. But essentially, there are several documents that you'll find. So the first one is a 1-paragraph summary. Now, 1-paragraph summary is something that I write. Just gives me kind of like a outline of the book. It's something you might read on the back of a book. Not quite as professional, but something that kind of tells you the loose outline of the story. So if someone asks me, hey, what's your story about? I kind of have a good starting point. It's about this character. Something happens, they go back to this place, they investigate, they find out what happened, and that's pretty much it. So basically it's just you telling yourself the story, but also it lets you develop a way of telling other people about your story. And then the next category is a plot summary. And the plot summary is a bit more extensive. I have mine broken into 3 sections. You have the beginning, the middle, and the end. And so obviously that's just 3 parts. The Save the Cat Writes a Novel, which is this book here, is a tremendous resource. If you're looking to write different genres, it will tell you the basic story beats of any genre. And we have, which is mine, the whodunit genre. There's the buddy cop. There is obviously the typical fantasy genre. There is a horror genre. I think it's survive or get out of the house or whatever it is, but it's broken up into the most popular genres, and it tells you the basic beats of a story, and that's the introduction, the setting, theme, the darkest night, there's the final resolve. I'm going out of order, but basically it will give you that. They will break down in current books that sheet as well. So I think one of them, it breaks down the Harry Potter book in that beat sheet, and it shows you how J.K. Rowling fit all of those. And this is used also in screenplays. So it's super helpful resource. I'll put a picture of it here. Again, tremendously helpful resource, and I recommend you looking at that. So subplot summary is below plot summary. So these are the B stories. So The first one is more A story. So this is your main character, stuff that's happening in the sight of the reader, whereas the B story is kind of stuff that's happening in the background. And that's kind of helpful for you. I don't typically write B story until I finish my A story, and that way I can kind of weave them together like a DNA helix. And so essentially A story is where I focus most of my time in a draft, and then B story I will come about later. Now with the murder mystery genre, I also have a suspect list, secrets and lies, clues, and then the red herrings. And so those are pretty self-explanatory. We need to know who a suspect is and why they're a suspect. Why aren't they a suspect? What is their alibi? Secrets and lies, that could be the main character. It could be any supporting character. What secrets do people have? Why are they secrets? What kind of lies do people have? Why are they lies? And then clues, obviously, what is pointing the reader, or in this case, the main character, towards that suspect, whether it be a false suspect or the actual true suspect. And then obviously the red herring. So what are you doing as a writer and throwing curveballs to your reader to throw them off track or to completely spin the way the story is going? So those are things that you really need to consider. And again, this is catered more towards the mystery genre. You can do other things. Obviously with fantasy, there's the hero's journey, so the call to action, the nudge, the helpful mentor, darkest night, and then, obviously the final resolve. So there's different story structures, but they all follow very similarly to each other, just a couple different nuances, and the Save the Cat will really talk about what those are. Apart from planning, what I also do is characters. So I like to write a biography of all supporting and main characters, and that would include the name, the age, what's their relationship to the other characters, what's their occupation. There are a couple books, The Writer's Thesaurus, which I'll take a picture here, that has so many different books that go over, occupations, trauma thesaurus, places, urban places, city places. So basically they're just a resource for you. So if you're wanting to write a character who is a librarian and you've never been a librarian, you don't know a librarian, this is a good resource for you to flip through. They are on Amazon. They can get either digital or you can get physical. I have 2 of the physical books. They're actually right here on my shelf, but I'll put a picture of them right here. They're a really helpful resource because it kind of tells you, okay, this is how the genre has done it. Here's how you could do a librarian differently. Let's not do the older lady with glasses. Let's do a younger male who used to be in law enforcement, or something different, something that doesn't feel so tropey. And so that would help you that. If you're writing a book with lots of trauma and you've never really experienced the trauma, you'll kind of go into like, what are the signs of the trauma? What kind of behavior traits would this person exhibit? What kind of things would they have hard time trusting? So again, that's a super, super important resource. With the character section, the sky's the limit. As much as you want to write out your character, the better. The better you know your character, the more confident you can put them on the page. And so for me personally, I have 3 main characters, which are sister, brother, and then the missing sister. I've written pretty extensively about them. I need to know what their relationship is and how they interact. There are some supporting characters where there's kind of gray area. I'll typically fill that in as I write. It's not super necessary unless they're really intertwined to the plot to get those fleshed out. And then lastly is the setting. And so my new book is set in a fictitious town called Thistle Creek, which is just near Forks, Washington, up in the Olympic Peninsula. So it gave me some freedom to kind of play with locations like Aberdeen, Forks, Port Angeles, and kind of, what do those towns have? They have a motel, they have churches, they have diners, they have hardware stores, they have hospitals, they definitely have a high school, they definitely have a police department, and they definitely have outdoor areas. So like I have Ruby Beach, I have Olympic National Park. So essentially I'm just getting to know what my locations are, getting to know the area around me. My town is fictitious, so I'm not set within the limits of what is real, I can kind of meld it to the story that I want. And so writing those specific locations, even if you have a scene in mind for them, is important. I live a couple hours from these places, or from this area, I should say, because it's fictitious. So I could I've driven up there, kind of looked around, kind of got a lay of the land, and that's kind of important, writing about where you've been or writing about what you know. Even if you haven't physically been there, just do the research to make it seem believable. I've lived in Washington my entire life, so I'm pretty familiar with what kind of culture Washington has, what kind of people you'd find in Washington, how they speak, what kind of trends are going on in Washington. So I'm not having to do so much research. It feels a little bit more natural, and it allows me to kind of sit back in the story and write it, rather than having to do the research and make it believable to me first, versus just making it believable to whoever is reading it. So those are the 3 things that I recommend. Like I said, I'll do links below, a link to the Scrivener template that I have been using, as well as a link to the Writers Helping Writers website, but also those thesauruses on Amazon. I highly recommend you check them out. It has been something that has taken my writing to the next level. I've talked about it on the channel before in a previous video, and also getting out there and getting into where you're writing, whether it be the forest, the river, camping, concerts, whatever. Just try to get out there, see what kinds of people congregate at those kinds of places. Park ranger, a family camping, wildlife would be in the woods. A concert, you'd have people who are intoxicated, people who are on first dates. Just get a good set of where or what kind of people you would find. That kind of helps you flesh out the story. And so that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. It was pretty quick, but I think this is a good place for you to start. Next week, we're going to talk about getting the first page down. But again, this is just the planning stage. So this can take, a week. This can take months, whatever your comfortability is. I'm just trying to help you get a little push to kind of start where you want to go and figuring out how to get there. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. The planning stage is my favorite because I like to make Pinterest boards and clip things out and kind of place things around, and I'll buy books about, like right now I'm reading a book about plant life in the Pacific Northwest. It's a good research opportunity. It's very educational because it allows you to kind of get to know the world around you, or a world that you haven't really been to. And for those fantasy writers, it allows you to establish the world building aspect, which tends to be the most important part of any good fantasy story. But that's where I'll leave that. I do want to quickly touch on some things that I'm doing while I'm doing the series. And this is what I said in video number 1, where you need to read widely. You need to read books that you wouldn't normally read. Currently, I am reading, again, the whole Lord of the Rings book. I'm doing a series with on Substack of a read-through of the entire book through the next couple months is my goal through the end of this year. So that's what I'm reading. So I'm reading something super, super heavy, but something super divergent of what I'm writing, which is very helpful. And I'm also reading this book, which I got yesterday. And just more of a shout out, but it's called Myth Makers. And so this is a book about the story of C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. And as you can tell, it's really beautifully illustrated. It's by John Hendricks. Just came out the other day. Just wanted to share this. I have really been liking this. And it gives a very honest and fresh take of the life of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. That is that. This is where I will end the video. Again, if you like this, make sure you thumbs up. If you want me to talk about something more specific, leave a comment. But as always, thank you, and I hope you have a great day.